I already hit.
Okay.
Okay, welcome to Awake and Activate. Sorry about the sound issues. I know that intro did not come through the way that it was intended to because it piped through the speakers. We are trying to accommodate where we can actually take phone calls where we can both hear the caller and the caller can hear both of us. So, with that said, tonight's topic is on paradox, paranormal, and phenomena. And as you know, we're interested in any experiences that you've got going on in your life that you want to share. And Sagi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Sagi. Nice to meet you.
We'll make sure the sound is coming through okay for everybody. And I want to immediately put the phone number up so people know the number, and the phones are actually open. So we're already
Operators are standing by, from what I understand.
We'll see how that all works out. Now, I did not share this on any social media. I'm trying to see what's going on with this notification issue. So,
well, I did a little research on it today.
Really, what'd you find out?
Well, apparently, from what I understand, the general consensus is live streams in general. You'll get the notification up until the point when you go live. Once you are live, like we are now, then it actually falls off of the notification screen until 20 hours later. 20 hours from now, it'll show up on people's notification screens. But if they didn't get in here before you hit the live button, then they probably aren't going to see it unless they come to your channel and look for it.
Well, a lot of times when you go in and you hit your subscriptions, anybody that's live shows up at the top and it shows with the red brackets around them that they're live now. So what is causing the phenomena where it's not showing that people are actually live now?
They're doing it as a precaution against misinformation on the COVID-19 thing.
Well, these people that do show up live, that's a lot of times that's all they talk about.
Yeah, and if some people slip through the cracks or are favored for whatever reason, the logic hasn't been. Nobody has figured out the logic behind why certain channels get a pass and some don't.
Interesting. I don't know, but I do know that it even happened this evening when I went to Dark Wolf's Den radio broadcast that he did live on his platform, that it did not show up that he was live. So I just redid everything. I
The best work,
resubscribed and hit all notifications.
yes, the one of the workarounds is if you see, like if you like when you put yours up 30 minutes ahead of time or whatever amount of time you put it up, you know how it says set reminder.
Mm-hmm.
If the person clicks that reminder, they will still get the reminder.
Yeah. Something's wrong because like as we are now, it should show up on the top with everybody else that's live that we're live right now, and it's not, and it shouldn't be a favoritism thing. I think it's a StreamYard thing because I've never had that problem using OBS. It's just since I purchased this software, so it's got to be something that I'm not checking or not doing right.
It's possible. I mean, the one little research I found was from based off of other people who were experiencing it, and they realized that they weren't showing up until 20 hours later, and they were also, they're still trying to. Everybody's still trying to really figure it out. But the best explanation so far is they've started doing it since they approximately a day or two after that whole um, thing with what's his name? Oh man, I can't think of his name. David Icke or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know who David Icke is.
Yeah, when he did the thing where he talked about five, that in the letter right after in relation to the virus, and he got kicked off YouTube. Starting at around that time, this shadow ban thing started occurring where it wouldn't show up till 20 hours later, which gives them time to review the stream before they let everybody see it.
Oh, well, I
Or
do
give
know
it a
that
chance to go
it does
viral.
take a long time before StreamYard actually processes it after we're done. But I'm talking about that it should show up just like everybody else when they're live, and it's not. And not only that, it's not even showing the subscription notification. I mean, it should show up, but now I want to bring up the definition of a paradox. So
Okay. That
let's
would be like a pair of socks.
a pair of socks. Well, just for that, I'm going to have you read it. Okay.
All right.
Let me. I'm going to have to take the phone number down so he can actually see. Okay.
All right. A paradox is a statement that seems contradictory, but may actually be true. Examples: I must be cruel to be kind. I am nobody. I'm sorry. No one goes there because it's too crowded. The beginning of the end. In order to lead, you must follow. I've heard most of these at one point or another in the course of my life. I'm sure you have as well. Which one would you say you've heard most often?
I must be cruel to be kind, or that
Yeah.
I am nobody. A lot of people do say, I am no one. So, and then they'll talk about experiences and phenomena going on within their life that is actually, just like a paradox. It's a contradictory because obviously you are somebody, you're unique, and something amazing is going on with you. So, yeah.
I was going to read the genie paradox to you guys as well, if you guys want to hear it.
Yeah, let me take this down. All right.
If a man talking to a genie wishes that wishes couldn't come true, this contradicts itself, because if the genie grants his wish, he did not grant his wish. And if he refuses to grant his wish, then he did indeed grant his wish, therefore making it impossible to either grant or not grant his wish, because his wish contradicts itself. I thought that was an interesting one to ponder.
Yeah.
There is no way out of that, is there?
No, say it one more time.
All right.
Let me wrap my. I was looking at something else. You know me, easily distracted.
If a man talking to a genie wishes that his wish could not come true, this contradicts itself, because if the genie grants his wish, he did not grant his wish. And if he refuses to grant his wish, then he did indeed grant his wish, therefore making it impossible to either grant or not grant his wish, because his wish contradicts itself.
He did grant his wish by not giving him his wish. Got it. Yeah, that's a paradox.
Yeah.
Definitely. And with all this phenomena and paranormal, and we touched on this last night on the Hebrew Taco Tuesday, where Dark Wolf's Den was the guest on the EVP, the electronic voice phenomena, and those boxes, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about, because this is about paradoxes and phenomena and paranormal, and we know that the Mandela effect is a paranormal thing. We let's not even go go there, because we all know things are happening, things are changing.
Yeah, I would definitely categorize it in the realm of phenomenon. I had never really considered as to whether or not I would call it paranormal or not. I had never really even considered the notion one way or the other. So I guess it loosely applies, though.
Well, sure. Yeah. But okay, some people have suggested that, this is like a electrical universe, which, kind of follows along the lines where when people are listening to those radios and like trying to hear ghosts or beings from other realms.
Like, you're talking about the spirit boxes?
Mm-hmm. And how your influence being a frequency vibration, setting off your own, for lack of a better word, electrical charge around you. How does that affect the electronics, and how would that affect what you're hearing, through this device?
Right. I don't know. That's a good question. It seems like one could influence the other, considering we both, humans do emit, have like an electrical frequency built into them. And the devices, designed to pick up frequency and electrical frequency. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely in itself, it could be considered a paradox. I can see how you could make that point.
And what if it could go as far as freaking people out as they hear in this device their own voice coming back to them?
That's possible as well, I guess. I really don't know a lot about that kind of stuff. The equipment itself, I've never personally used it, so I'm not sure on how all the technical aspects apply, as far as how, what kind of grounding you might use, what kind of filter you might run it through, what kind of modulator. I mean, there's so many different types of audio equipment that could come into play to try to buffer or minimize that type of effect. So I guess it really all just depends on I think it kind of boils down to a case by case scenario. And then also you got to imagine the area that you're in. I mean, if you're usually in an area where there's a lot of paranormal activity happening or a spirit present or something like that, you're going to have that kind of interference as well. And it's going the room and the area that you're working in is probably going to have a really high charge in the air anyway. I don't know if you've ever been around a place that is quote unquote haunted or supposedly experiencing paranormal activity, but a lot of times you'll walk in the room and you'll feel the hair on your arms rise up, and the hair on the back of your neck rise up, as if like it's static electricity or something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to consider.
And it brings me back to the double slit experiment, where when there was observers, they behaved one way, and when there wasn't any, person in, and influencing it, the way that the photons shot through and the patterns were infinite rather
Well,
than
yeah,
focused into the
they
two
switched
lines.
they switched from a more like a ray, like a direct line of sight into a waveform. Once they realize they're being observed, the light itself, actually, the photons of light change the way that they travel through the slits. The way that they resonate, when they hit the background, that after going through the slit, once they realize they're being observed, whenever somebody's actually observing them, they change their dynamic and go into a waveform, which is very, I remember when I first read about that's when you realize that the reality is possibly a construct, and it is, um, it is, what is the word I'm looking for? It is malleable. Like it can
Mhm.
change.
It's
It's
fluid.
capable. Yeah, it can it, and it's based on observation. So what that leads you, okay. So you apply that to the possibility of the matrix being a construct or some type of digital construct, right? And then you apply that to the theory behind gaming. Whenever like a person designs a game, electronic video game or something of that nature, a VR, virtual reality, or something along those lines, the the computer processor, only creates the reality for where you are currently observing. For instance, behind you, it is not working on constructing detail for out of your line of sight. But as soon as whatever part of the game is coming into your line of sight, then the processor or the program or whatever will start constructing the reality because it knows it needs to be seen. So does that happen here? If the tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to hear it, does it actually make a sound? Comes into play. So yeah, all of that is definitely a lot to wrap your brain around. That is for sure.
And actually, on that paradox, I would have to say yes, because everything here that is a living organism of some form has some form of consciousness, not to the point of where we are in our awareness, consciousness, perception, and what we're able to observe and influence by our thoughts and our heart, how it expands out around us into the realm of infinite possibilities and probabilities. But a tree next to another tree would still feel the death of that tree.
Yeah.
I think it was in the Amazon, that they found that there was this huge forest, and in the forest, they found that they all shared one root system. So all of these trees were connected.
Yeah, like
Even
in the
though,
movie Avatar, that's the first thing I think of when you say that.
oh, I actually liked that movie. And we think we watch these movies and stuff, even Matrix and different things. There's truth drops in entertainment.
The most sci-fi that people resonate real strongly with, meaning that it seems more true than fiction when you watch it, or it seems entirely plausible. That's because it probably really is.
Yes. Well, and that's something that we're walking into with this paradox, this phenomena, this paranormal, is that the only limitations are the ones that we perceive. We limit ourselves.
Oh yeah, the biggest barrier we'll ever face in our lives are the ones that we construct in our own mind, for sure.
Hmm. And if you believe something so strongly, you will influence, and we all have this within us. So, we will manifest or create a world, um, and by using the technology like televisions and media sources to put out. information to have everybody looking in one direction to, you know, perceive this place in one accord to create something that we're all seeing that is similar. That that paradigm seems to be being destroyed as we are moving along, this path, and this leads right back to the phenomena of the Mandela effect is so eye opening and so paradigm shifting on what you're able to do, what you're able to actually, you know, the say so, the sovereignty of what you got going on in your heart and your mind and what you see around you will change once you get the understanding that this place is fluid. And back to the electrical is, our brain shoots off electrical frequency, as it, shoots across for communication, to even for walking, eating, talking, running our body, thinking, perceiving, and creating. I mean,
Yeah,
we
for
are
sure.
very intricate, conscious, subconscious, the different levels of consciousness that are all rising up now to our awareness. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's also there's also a lot of truth in the fact that you can manifest a reality through strictly by imagining it, thinking it through, and then creating it. I mean, it really is possible. I'm not saying I can imagine a money tree in my living room and the next thing you know, I have one growing up out of the floor. But as far, I mean, within the realm of possibilities, it's definitely something you can do every day. I mean, if you wake up in the morning and you have an outlook that is a positive outlook for a productive day, then that's probably what you're going to achieve. If you wake up in the morning with a negative outlook, with I know I'm not going to accomplish anything, that will be your most likely outcome. That is, it is. I believe that is very true in life.
And it also, just like what my channel's called, now that we're awake, activate, become proactive in your life, whether it be something that you've been, your dreams. Let's say you dreamed that you wanted to build something with your hands and carpenter, whatever it is that your dream. What will happen is the situation then will change and present itself where, okay, now I've got the funds to get the lumber and everything that I need. And then you can actually physically then actively build what you were always dreaming about building, because all of the supplies have just manifested within your dream. It doesn't take away, the accomplishment and the joy that you would get out of building whatever it is that you wanted to build. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And a money tree, well, money's made out of paper, so every tree is potential money.
There you go.
And money is also an illusion. We're the ones
Isn't
that
it
put
though?
value to it. So that's the only reason currency, and it's called currency. That's the only reason it has any value, and that's what we use to flow to for exchange. Because maybe you've got lemons, you've got lemon trees, and I've got a grapevine. But you don't, you want grapes, but I don't necessarily want lemons today. So then, we came up with an alternative currency of exchange. So, people that are wanting the lemons can give you, this, and then you could come over and give me whatever for the grapes, and then everybody's happy. So,
Exactly.
I,
And
I,
and and I heard I was reading a book not too long ago. I'm trying to remember what it was, but they were talking about humans on on Earth, trying to exchange their happiness with little green pieces of paper. But it turns out most people with the most green pieces of paper aren't that are the saddest ones of them all, which is which is kind of a paradox because the paper itself is totally content.
You guys, although we're talking and flowing, call whenever that you want. Interject in, and and it doesn't mean you have to talk about what we're talking about. If you want to share an experience, something else that is shown up in your life, it's it's open. The phones are on. They are open. So um, don't hold back just because we're talking. The call will be answered first. We'll stop what we're talking about and take the call. So,
Yep.
anyways, back to the paradox, the phenomena, the paranormal, with us being electrical beings that as we know, we affect our surroundings and stuff. When that we think about those spirit boxes and things like that, they believe it. If you believe something with your heart and your mind, then you will perceive from that box whatever it is that you are looking for, because you don't have any doubt in it. You believe it wholeheartedly, and so the doubt's been removed, and you will get feedback. Reminds me of the Laurel and Yanni paradox that was going on. What do you hear? People all heard something different. Sometimes it would flip flop back and forth. I know it did for me. So when you're not front loaded and you just listen to it, uh, you can hear a wide range of different statements and things like that going on within those things. So that goes into this equation when we're talking about the paranormal um, and are there really ghosts out there, or are we tapping into the consciousness of the ether, which is basically where our consciousness, our soul, our spirit resides. I mean, we've never lost contact with that realm, with those higher realms that bring us closer to the creator of all. It was in our minds that we thought we needed to go through other people in order to have that relationship. So as I look at this time as a restoration, a revelation of who we all are, to one another, what we are all capable of doing. Once we remove the doubt, the perception and what we will see reflecting around us will indeed change. And I've seen that
Yeah,
with my pictures.
I could totally get on board with that. I also believe that there's a correlation between us having us becoming so dependent on this technology. I mean, with everybody now having a cell phone in their hands and um, a television, in every, in multiple rooms of their house, and I think that it's. I guess what I'm trying to say is, the more we are connecting through technology, the less the further our connection is from nature, from the moon and the stars. I mean, from just the outdoors. I mean, it's like everything is just so virtual now that we've lost touch with the actual. I mean, I bet I would be it would be safe to assume that not everyone, of course, there's exceptions, but the most of the general population probably spent a lot more time staring at their cell phone today than they did on a nature trail observing trees and wildlife and things just growing in nature and having and connecting to the real source. So I think that comes into play as well. I think that a lot of this. a lot of the
Distractions.
yeah, I think it's creating more of its intent is to create more of a disconnect. I don't know that I'm not saying it's a conspiracy theory or anything like that, but I do think that it's a cause and effect. I think that if you really want to become more in tune with things of that nature, you have to disassociate from the technology in order to do so.
Well, I would say that would be true, but I don't think that technology is actually going to interrupt as in the way that people think. Technology can be used for communication, like we're using it now to share information. Uh,
Yes.
but then even though you're using the technology, you're still doing the inner work. It's happening. It's going on within you, and it's like when I look outside with my skies and the grass and the trees and everything. It's just flourishing. It's beautiful. The flowers smell wonderful. Some different things are coming more into my awareness. Uh, the as more time is going on, whether or not I've talked to my mom on my cell phone or she texted me or whatever, um, that doesn't seem to interrupt this flow that we're all going through. It's
Yeah, you
got a
can.
momentum that's going on that's just isn't
If you're
stopping.
consciously trying to maintain the connection, you can do so as long as you're consciously aware of the fact that you're putting that effort in. Unfortunately, I think you're more of the exception than the rule. I think generally speaking, most people have lost that connection, or a vast majority of them, where not
Or
at least
forgot.
in yeah, or just not even now we're looking at a generation of people if who if you were that are adults that have had a smartphone since they were a toddler. They've never known life without it. So
I was listening to a gentleman that I just met last night uh, in that chat forum that we visited. By the way, I bookmarked it because that was a pretty awesome place. His channel name is Propagate the Light. I want to make sure I'm saying that right.
you are, and I know who he is. He's a
Okay.
cool.
Yes,
Uh,
I listened to some of. I didn't get to listen to a whole lot, but he's got some streams on there, and he was talking about things that happened or that he noticed as a child, and I have a childhood story about the police were there, and I was actually found. I woke up in the back of my mom's brand new station wagon, but the police had already searched back there looking for me because I was only 4 or 5 years old, and I come walking up and there's cops everywhere. My mom squeezed me to the point that I thought I was going to not breathe. And then I got in trouble for disappearing, and she couldn't find me, but I didn't even know. I mean, I went and was playing at it was an apartment complex for single moms with families. And they have little playground areas in there. And that's where I was. And then I wasn't. And then I woke up and it was dark and I was sleeping in the back of my mom's station wagon with coloring books and crayons all around me and stuff. And I don't know how all that happened. I don't know how I got there. And it was, way past dinner time. It was dark. It was probably 8:30, 9 o'clock. And for a 5-year-old and for my mom to think I'm at the playground and I'm not, it really freaked her out. But
right.
it's things like that. And I was listening to him, and he has testimonies that of things that he had happened when he was a child. But then the world tries to get you to snuff out those kind of thoughts. It's like, oh, you're crazy. That can't happen. It's not possible. So then you start to believe it's not possible, and then you start looking at the tube or whatever, and co-creating this hierarchy platform, this dualistic, it's either yin or yang. It's either this or that, when it's actually more likely that it is neither. If you've got two options,
or it could even be both at the same time.
There's always infinite possibilities within those two. So, and the one thing that seems to be the best kept secret is that everything that we need, we came here fully equipped. It's all within us. And this time period is just like, to me, it is a restoration, a remembering. People are looking for Christ to come with a warrior type angels in the sky. What if it's just like Israel, where Christ was in their midst and they missed him? And actually, it's the testimony of Christ that you hold is your testimony of what's going on within you, and that is your testimony of Jesus. Even Paul said that his testimony of Christ is only that Christ crucified and raised again. The rest was his experiences and his things that were going on, that was his testimony, his authentic testimony of Christ. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense here, because none of us were here to walk with Jesus, Yeshua, whatever name that you like to call him, but he knew who he was. He had a complete understanding of his connection to the Creator, and so how would we have a pure, authentic testimony of his life when we didn't walk with him? So when he's saying that you have the testimony of Christ, what would that mean? It can mean several different things to each person, as we're so unique. But I've been pondering on that. What's the testimony of Christ? Well, we know that he went to the cross and he was crucified, right? But then after that, all of this, other phenomena that's going on, whether he's the Lord at first, the master, then your rabbi, then your teacher, your brother, and then you're walking side by side as friends. So what's your thoughts on that, Sagi?
Oh, wow. You really put me on the spot. Honestly, I wouldn't even begin to try to speculate. I think that we do, as far as like.
No, this is just your opinion, sweetie. You're not being nailed down for anything that you're saying.
Right. Well, I mean, speculating. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that we are all on our own. We all have our own personal journey, and our own journey is our testimony per se. However, I think that everybody's is more similar than it is dissimilar once you take into consideration your entire life, and you reflect back on it. Everybody's had their own personal story as into the specifics and details of what happened, how it happened, when it happened, and the amount of failures and successes that they were able to overcome and achieve. Okay, but when it's all over said and done, we all face temptation. We all had to overcome our own demons. We all had to learn our own life lessons, and I think that, and we all are inherently battling the angel on the left shoulder and that not so nice angel on your other shoulder. You know what I mean? So, I think that there's a lot more that if you was to take it and mix it all in a pot and look at it from afar, like say, like the cameras on the top of the NFL stadium, like where they could do the instant replay or whatever in slow motion, you would come to find out that we all really kind of fought the same battle when it was all over said and done with.
And I also think about, when I say that the books are open, the books, why is that plural, books? That means, each of us has our own book, of our experiences, of our life, the life lessons, and right, exactly, the experiences, the choices, and did you choose to try to control somebody, or did you respect them and their sovereignty and their right to be? One thing that I have noticed in so many different diverse cultures, countries, backgrounds, doesn't matter, is the heart. It's a different heart. It is a heart that is so loving that that their actions, they do take into account, how will, if I do this, will it affect, and will it trample over somebody else's sovereignty and right of to be. Do you see what I'm saying? You have such a love and a respect for each other that you don't want to take away any of their freedom, sovereignty, and rights to be, because you love them unconditionally. And forgiveness comes with that. I mean, like when things happen and they say, oh man, I messed up. Well, you've already done forgiven them, and you love them. You still love them unconditionally, no matter what has happened. It's a new heart. And I've met so many people, like I said, different cultures, walks, that have their own unique testimonies that, you can just feel it in their heart that, they're changing. It's not a compete. It's not it's just, what can I do to help you? But I don't want to do anything that would take away from what it is that you're trying to do or wanting to do or overcome for yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say, and I think that it's one of those things where you can do it unknowingly, or you can be consciously aware of it when you're doing it. Sometimes you're doing a lot more for somebody than you even realize, simply by just saying good morning to them and having a pleasant conversation with them at the bus stop every day. That might be the one time every day that they look forward to, because it's the one time when somebody is just pleasant and kind to them, because their home life is tragic and their work life is stressful. So you really sometimes you're doing more than you realize, without even consciously being aware of it. And then other times you may actually realize that somebody is is having some type of personal struggle or grief, or even if they're just having or it could work the opposite. Every time when you're around them, if you're not, I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but there's sometimes when you're around certain people and just their aura, their sense, their general demeanor, it conflicts with yours for whatever reason, and it brings you down and brings down your frequency and your state of mind. So, I mean, I think that it's one of those things where I would hate to think that somebody would want to purposefully ruin my day, but if that once I realize that is on the agenda, I'm probably going to disassociate myself with that person. I mean, just generally speaking, of course. Now, as far as loving unconditionally, I think that yes, you can do that, sometimes to your own demise, because sometimes people in an abusive relationship or something like that probably need to throw a few conditions in there.
Well, okay. When I say that you forgive and that you love unconditionally, that doesn't, mean that you need to be trampled on. You always have
Right.
the right to walk away, but don't walk away holding any of that in you. we were talking about the electrical, and what they would call the toroidal field, or this field that is around us, and that can expand out even farther and farther than we even understand at this moment. But what if how you can feel if somebody's having a bad day and you just flash that smile, but in the meantime you're walking in such love and peace that you don't have to do anything, but just from them crossing your field, it could have an impact and lighten their heart without
for
you
sure.
even knowing it. So that keeps people humble, and it also keeps them loving each other as equals. No
Yes.
hierarchy.
Yeah, that was one of the hardest things for me to really kind of grasp as an adult, is the fact that I always felt like I was a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe jaded or inferior. Like in certain groups or surroundings, I just felt like I was like the odd man out. I didn't belong. I wasn't as I didn't fit in. Okay, for whatever reason, and I would create an illusion in my mind that these people are better than me. I wish that I could be as cool and as hip and as trendy and as knowledgeable and as well versed, or whatever the case may be. You throw in your own positive adjective as these people. But over time, as I grew a little bit wiser, a little bit more mature, and had a little bit more life experience, and got to know more people, and I came to realize that most everybody that you're going to come across in life is just a regular person like yourself. They're going through their own struggles. They're no better or no worse than you are. Even if they have a title or some type of some type of status in society that makes them immaculate for whatever reason, they're still just a person like you and me.
Exactly. They're saying that they're trying to call. The phone lines are open. I am muted in there because we're going to try to do it so when the caller calls, that they'll come through my speaker so that they can hear Sagi, and Sagi can hear them. So, but there has not been anybody. Oh, because you will hear a little thing when, or I will when, which actually the chat stream will hear it when somebody actually enters the phone when they call. You call the number, then it'll ask you to enter the PIN. You'll come in on mute. Stay on mute just in case there's more than one call in there, and then I'll unmute you, and then call out your area code, and then you'll know that it's you, and then you'll be able to share whatever's going on with you, whatever phenomena, experiences, adding to this conversation, whatever it is. So if somebody's trying to call and they're not working, I'll just reboot it back up and start a new conference call. The number won't change, the PIN won't change, none of that will change. I'll just have to restart it. So just let us know, please. Also, if some moderators in the chat would not mind linking Hebrew from Eternia's channel in the chat stream. He's got several shows that he does. He's a lot of fun. Also, Dark Wolf's Den with that. He's doing a Rippin' Rabbit Hole radio show now, but he does air it live on his channel so we can participate in the chat with each other as he is broadcasting live out on the radio. So, yeah. I like to expand to share. And Sagi, you know how I am.
Oh yeah, and not to mention, last night we had Dark Wolf Den on our Taco Tuesday broadcast, with Hebrew, myself, and you, and we had a really wonderful show. So, if you're bored later in your quarantine status and you want to check that out and you haven't heard it yet, follow the link, and it would be the most recent show, Taco Tuesday, on Hebrew from Eternia's channel. We had a really great show last night. Michelle, Wake and Activate, myself, and Hebrew. So I urge you guys to go check it out if you haven't already listened.
Yes, and Dark Wolf is a he's amazing, and I just putting together that conference like he did for the Mandela Effect community, and now getting into the radio and broadening his horizons. I mean, like talk about dream, he's awake, and now he's activating his dreams. He's walking into them without any doubt, and it's manifesting in his life. And I have to say, he looks really happy. He just looks really happy with how things are flowing for him. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
And he's trying to work out the details on a international Mandela conference for this year, and he was sharing information with us last night about the panel that's going to be there, and there looks like there's some really interesting speakers lined up. I'm really hopeful that I'll figure out a way to attend it when it actually does come into play this year.
I think they're going to be broadcasting it online, so no matter where you're at, you will have access.
Yes.
So that's really awesome. I mean, live access. So yeah, we'll see how all of that flows out. I mean, last year's, he's very humble, but he said it started as an idea, a dream, and then everything kind of fell in place. But I'm going to tell you, it was the first one that he did, but he was the one that set up the hotel, the venue, the speakers. There's a lot of work that goes into putting together, and then it went so smoothly. And then he kind of walked into his calling, and he enjoys it. And on Hebrew's channel, I believe that Brian Stavely will be making a guest appearance over there. So something to look forward to when Hebrew and Brian, and of course Sagi, his co-host, will be talking Mandela effects with Brian Stavely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm actually pretty excited about it. Brian is such such an enthusiastic person, and he knows his stuff. I mean, if you were looking for somebody to go like on a mainstream program and try to make somebody understand the Mandela effect, put it together with an enthusiastic, powerful presentation that will actually make an impact, that would be my first vote right there. Get Brian Stavely.
Yeah, he went on Row 777 and talked 5.5 hours on. When he gets to go into talking about Mandela effects, he's got tons of knowledge and information on that. I can see that show going.
He just keeps it interesting too and fun to listen to. I'm not talking bad about anybody else, but man, he is definitely on his A game when he gets started, and he's telling you like he's got his some of these he's just done them so many times. He's got his presentation down packed to a point where it's flawless. He hits all the right cues at all the right times. It's almost like a TED talk with the Mandela effect. You know what I mean?
Well, and you can feel his passion and his heart. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. Yeah. What he doesn't like is when people, and I feel the same way though. When you get that heart, your heart cracks open. You don't want to see people attacking or judging or belittling other people. It's hard to see it, and we can all we don't have to agree, but there's a respectful way of not agreeing and having your own perception and your own interpretation without using words that could be misconstrued or in language forms that is belittling to another. Okay, we actually have a call. I heard it dinging
All right.
in. So, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm going to answer it and let's see how this goes.
All right, let's do it.
And see how it goes. All right, let's do it.
Okay, mute the YouTube live, please. And 209, you're live with Sagi and I, and I want to see if Sagi, can you hear her?
I was just testing the number.
Oh, you're testing.
I hear her loud and clear.
Okay, can you hear Sagi?
Nope, I can't hear him.
Okay,
Oh man.
that's all right. All I have to do is where's that in the settings? I'll have to put you on. Oh, hold on. That's why we wanted to see how the phones will work. That's why it's important to have a caller so we can do what we need to do.
All
I'm
right.
here to help.
Okay. And now, Sagi, say something.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. All right, we got it all worked out.
But how does it sound in the
Good.
chat?
Okay, so now whoever wanted to call in, they can call in.
Well, let me ask you this: who am I speaking with? Because you sound familiar.
It's Olivia.
Oh, hi, Olivia.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Okay, you guys.
Good.
This is sweet Olivia. I've known
Can
her
you
for
hear me okay?
yes, and I've known her for a while. And what a gentle soul. Beautiful, beautiful heart.
Oh, you're too sweet. Like mine.
Okay, Raul, just stay
We gotta
on
stick
mute
together.
for a moment. Yes, and you know what? The light shines bright as we lift each other up. Because we all fall, and we're always there for each other to help lift each other up, and that is one of the beautiful things about such a community as this.
I am so thankful. The people in our group, lovely, beautiful.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you for testing the phones. It looks like we've got Raul on hold.
Okay.
And if there is a problem in the chat, please say something when you go back in
Okay,
there.
well, that's why I called in, because you were asking, did you need to shut down? And I just figured I'd try it and see if it works. So maybe they're doing something on the other end. I don't know.
It worked. You got right through, and then we've got another caller right behind you. So, yeah.
Perfect.
I just want to
All
make
right.
sure that the sound's not all echoey and yucky in the stream. Clean.
It sounds good on the phone.
Yeah, it'll sound good for us. Who knows what it'll
Well,
sound like for them?
all right. Well, it was nice talking to you guys. Have a great night. I hope
All right.
everybody's doing good.
Thank you for helping test the phones. Thank you.
Love you.
I love you, honey.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, for sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good evening, Raul. You are live on Awake and Activate with Sagi and myself. I hear you got some exciting things
Hi,
you want to
Michelle.
share about
Michelle.
a new effect.
Michelle,
Yes?
we've got a new effect.
I have to admit I already know what it is because I saw you talking about it in the chat room earlier on the Dark Wolf Den show.
Oh,
But I'm not going to let it out of the bag. I'm going to let you tell it.
hey Michelle, can you hear me, honey?
Yeah.
I'm trying not to dent your husband's Firebirds.
He saw you saying that in the chat the other day, and I was like, honey, just don't pay no mind to him. Just go about your
Okay,
business.
now I'll just get ahead of the title. Now you don't have. Hey, we've got a brand new Mandela effect, biblical.
Ooh, do
Yes.
tell.
Oh, very serious.
Mm.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Noah's Ark. Remember the dove?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Noah released the dove, right?
Mm-hmm. The dove come back with the olive branch. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. Yes. Now it's a raven. It's a black raven.
What? The raven? He sent out a raven. I remember.
No. Oh no, it's a raven.
But the raven never came back.
Noah's Ark. Oh yeah, Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark. Now there's a raven, and I'm not kidding. It is not funny. Not funny one bit. And that appeared last week. And then what I would like to share, and then you know, I'm a biblical scholar. You know that. You know I told you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 23 September 2017, the Virgo prophecy. You know, it's still in motion.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that.
Yes.
Okay. June 3rd is very serious. The sun covers Venus. And it's very serious. In just a couple of days. It's going to be a very, very serious day. June 3rd. Yeah.
Huh. And what is your thoughts on what's
you know, I'm not sure, but you know, the stars are showing that biblical prophecy that it's a very serious chapter. And so, did you know, Michelle, that that 23 September 2017 prophecy in Revelations 12 predicted that March, if you look at the stars in March, and it predicted this coronavirus fraud. It predicted it.
Well, you know what I was thinking, Ralph? I want to ask you about this. Do you remember where it says in Scripture that the scorpions were released to sting the children of God for 5 months, but they were not allowed to kill them? What do you think? How this
We're in
parallels?
Revelation 20. We're in Revelation chapter 20.
But do you remember
we are
that? Do
in
you remember?
Revelation 20 right now.
Do you remember that scripture?
That's
I don't
where
have
we're
my
at.
Bible open.
But what I would like to share about, Michelle, could I just share on, please just let me share on what I saw today?
Of course.
Okay. Today there was a launch from Cape Kennedy, right? You know, launch.
Yeah, I don't.
They
listen
postponed
to
it. Right.
Yeah, but
Okay. My family built Apollo and the Titan missiles. My family, Freemason, they worked for NASA. I'm an electrical engineer, Michelle, and former military. And I'd just like to share this last thing, okay? And then we'll talk again. But today was, you know, they're going to postpone this launch of NASA. But did you know that we never went to the moon? My father was a noble man. He was the most noble man that I ever met in my life. He was honest. He was a good man. He passed away about 12 years ago, and he worked for NASA. And he told me when I was a teenager that NASA were liars and a fraud. And I was a teenager then.
Wow.
Yeah. And then so today, what I've done all day is I went into the chat rooms, the live chat rooms of Elon Musk and
You
SpaceX
didn't.
and NASA.com. And you know what they do to me? They censor me. They won't allow me to share about my family worked for NASA. And I have testimony that NASA are not telling the truth. That's very serious. Do you know why? Because NASA takes God out of the equation. That's why, Michelle. That's why NASA. It's not for money. NASA lies.
No, it's
to
a new
take
God, science.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Because the Bible says that we are under the firmament dome. There is no such thing as space travel. There are no satellites, Michelle. None. I am telling you right now, my Freemason family worked years, many years, for NASA. I'm telling you right now, my mother is still alive, and I might interview her and record her and put up a YouTube video. My mother, she was Job's Daughter International. Do you know what that is, Michelle?
No, but please make sure that you're
Job's Daughter
chatting.
International is
Hang
the
on, Ralph.
highest.
Hold on. Let me say something.
Yeah.
When you're chatting in the
And so,
stream, when you're chatting,
so
chat,
NASA
hey,
hires Freemasons.
hold on.
Now,
I'm going to mute you for a second because I want you to hear me. When you're chatting in the stream, chat with your channel. People would love to see this if you're going to interview your mom and put it up on your channel. Okay,
yes,
now you're back.
yes, I would be very gentle with my mother, and I would talk with her, and just like my father, she would agree that NASA are liars, and so is Elon Musk, and so is SpaceX. And that's very serious. It takes God out of the equation of creation, Michelle.
When in truth, I can't see anything but God in everything.
Me too. And then I'll just tie this up with, hey, Dark Wolf went on Rippin' Rabbit live tonight.
And he aired it
Did
on
you
his
see that?
channel. Yes, I
Did you
did.
know that is an amazing live stream. You've got to see that upload, Rippin' Rabbit Hole.
Or on
had
Dark Wolf's Den.
Yes. And Dark Wolf and I are just neighbors. I could throw a rock and hit Jerry's house.
Mm-hmm.
We are in Sun Valley, Idaho, and he did the most amazing live chat tonight. Michelle, thanks so much for hearing me, honey. Why don't you take the next caller and then tell your husband I'll try not to dent that fire.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
I'm going to be driving that car cross country this summer, and I'll try not to dent it. And then at the end of summer, I'll drive up and I'll hand your husband.
Well, how are you going to leave? Are you moving in, or what are you implying?
I'm going to go to any. Okay, if there's a Mandela Effect conference this summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be there in that Firebird of your husband's Firebird.
The countdown was 24 days. If you look at the IMEC website, it said 24 days last night when he was on with Hebrew. So we're looking at 23 days for the ME conference. So be there.
All right, I'm trying to make peace with everybody. Michelle, I don't know why, but I just piss everybody off. I just do.
Not me yet.
I'm the alpha male. Look, Brian Stavely, he thinks he could.
I had to mute you again, Raleigh, because we don't bash people here, hon. Just don't. Come on, you're a sweetheart. You don't need to do that.
All right. Good night.
All right. And we got 415. You are on with Awake and Activate and Michelle, of course, and Sagi. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Is this Propagate the Light?
No, this is Propagate Dislike.
This light. Oh, I was.
Aha! He
But
got you on the technicality.
he did. But now he knows for sure. I watched some of his clips because of and because he didn't speak much last night in that chat, that private little forum. But I have heard
Right.
your voice. So
Yeah, I realized I just missed you. I left right before you came in. It's good to finally talk to you.
Oh yeah, how you doing? Yeah. Thank you so much.
so what do you want to share? What do you got going on?
Oh, okay. I thought I got cut off for a minute. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you. It's good to talk to both of y'all. Yeah, I just called in to say hi to everybody in the chat and you as well. I told you I'd be stopping by, so here I am.
Nice.
And what's today's topic is paradox, paranormal, and phenomena.
Yeah, but it's
That's what we're talking about tonight.
but we'll put topics up, but anybody that wants to call and share an experience, Mandela effect, or anything that that's going on, we're open. We're this is we're doing these on Wednesdays, and it's more about getting to know what everybody else has to share, because as you'll find, my motto here is share what you know so we can all listen and grow. And we grow from each other's testimonies on experiences.
Right.
So it's pretty much open.
That's the same case of my channel as well. Trying to understand the ME effect. It's funny that Mandela effect, the acronyms are ME, and I believe that maybe we are obviously, I guess this thing is whatever it is working through us, I guess you could say, so to speak, is we're a part of it. But I'm thinking that maybe we are responsible for some of it happening, I guess, if that makes sense. Some of the effects.
Perfect sense. Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yes, Meta. I mean, just like when we were talking earlier with Sagi and I, of us being electronic, and the new heart and the toroidal frequency that you put out around the vibration that you resonate at actually affects your surroundings and your perception, and how you will reflect out around you what's going on within you. So when you know that you know that you know, you will actually see what it around you. You'll see the beauty. You'll see, it's like getting new eyes, like blinders have fallen off, and you get to see the true nature of this realm. I don't know if I would even call it a reality, because there could be infinite realities simultaneously going on, depending on the individual and their perception and their experience and what's going on within them. They can perceive something differently. You could walk right next to somebody, and one could see lines in the sky, and the other can see beautiful puffy clouds, and you know what I'm saying? It depends on where you're vibing at. And with it being the electrical and the field that surrounds you, when you're coming from unconditional love in a heart space where you're not wanting to overpower somebody or take somebody else's sovereignty, and take or want control over them. You just want them to be, and you want them to be happy, and to know that they're unconditionally loved, and they are unconditional love. That your field, when you are walking side by side, will as the flower of life links together, just imagine the flower of life, how they hoop together. Your field will cross over into theirs. So you may share a space for a moment with them, and you'll feel what's going on, within them. If they've got sadness or something, and you'll, as the empathic abilities, you'll know, and but your vibration, your frequency that's going on around you can actually lift them up. Don't allow, that's one thing I had to learn is to reel it back in so I wasn't feeling everybody at the same time. It got really confusing. What's mine, what's theirs, but you got to hold your space to not go down to where they're at, but to actually hold your space in a loving way. Not, like I said, not trying to overpower them, but it can actually bring a smile to their face, or give them a different outlook, even if it's just for that moment, or launch them into the awakening from within. We don't know, exactly how we impact one another when we share space. You understand?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, I have a question about that right there. You said the field. So now, I pretty much just met you yesterday, but I've come across your channel before, and it's funny because when I came across your channel, I said to myself that for some reason I just want to be on your channel talking to you. I just felt the vibe. I didn't really go through all the videos, but and here I am now. You know what I mean? So my question is about that vibe and that feel that you were talking about, and how we all coming together. How is that possible that I don't know you or know some of the people in the chat, but we've all coming together at this time? What is it because of the field that I'm emitting from myself, or
like
what's going on there?
Like attracts like. And also, if you go to a space and you vibe with it, and it keeps your heart warm, and you can feel that compassion, unconditional love, and acceptance, then you're at the right place.
I thought it might be worth mentioning as well, Michelle.
I forgot about Sagi.
Yeah. Well, I just got done watching that Dark Wolf Den broadcast on Rip and Rabbit Hole, and he was talking about the concept of reincarnation. And one of the things that came up during the broadcast was soul groups of souls coming back and returning together. And then sometimes you meet somebody and you already feel acquainted to them, even though you just met them, or drawn to them for whatever reason, not necessarily in a romantic way, but it may be a soul that you're already familiar with from a prior life. So I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. I'm not saying I 100% buy into the concept, but it is worth entertaining, I thought.
Right. That sounds good right there. I like that too. And another question for you, wait and activate. You were saying earlier about reality in the realm. You were saying that you don't call it a realm, but they say there's no reality. Okay, I forgot exactly how you put it. But my question was, isn't everything a reality? Because you were talking about reality in the different realms and levels. Wouldn't everything be considered reality, even a realm? If that makes sense.
Okay. I thought, when I was young, that everything was fixed. This is how it is. This is what, I learned as I grew up. And then when this process started, everything's changed. I look at it more like a realm of infinite possibilities and probabilities based on the perception. So you and it also, everybody's journey is so unique for each individual and authentic. So you could be having an experience, but I am not ever going to tell somebody that shares an experience that that's not possible, because I've had several experiences and nobody could convince me that what I've been through, I have not been through. So with that, that's why I say, reality as we once thought it to be is not exactly what we were told or taught. And I do call it more of a realm of you, a realm of what you're reflecting out around you. Things can change in an instant when doubt is removed, and you know in your heart of hearts who you truly are, and what what we're going through, and the time of remembrance. And it's such a beautiful concept. But I can't, when I say the word reality, that would be kind of haughty of me to say this is my reality. But I know that I am sharing this space with everybody else, and we're all perceiving it, with our own experiences and the journeys that we're on. And so for me, the language of realm, because like I said, one can be seeing and observing something completely different to somebody you're walking next to somebody, and they're perceiving, things as doom and gloom, but you're seeing love and light and smelling the flowers and walking in a peace that is beyond comprehension. So to say that your reality is the only reality negates what the other is experiencing. So that's why I have a hard time with trying to say, this is reality, deal with it. You know what I mean? I'm more into it's a flow of energy. They're even discovering, and I know science has wanted to be a religion, but that even things that we thought were solid and fixed are mainly, it's empty space. So, I'm holding my keyboard. It feels solid to me. It feels like it's in my reality, but really it's mainly, it's just particles that are put together by my perception. And by my perception, I look at it as solid, but that doesn't mean that if you looked at it, that you would see it as solid. So I can't say, my reality, your reality, or we're from two different realities, or I like to use the word realm. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. We all have our own perceptual bubbles, so we're not going to see the same thing. I mean, have you heard that saying that I guess there was some Indians maybe on land, and there were some ships out in the ocean, and they didn't know what a ship was, so they didn't see it, or something like that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
One,
Since they've never seen it before, they couldn't perceive it. Yes, I have heard that. Mm-hmm. Good point.
Right. Yeah. So, in reality, in my research, I kind of wonder what reality actually means. You know what I mean? And what I've realized in my research, in my quest to understand myself and my environment better, I learned that sometimes one word is two words as one, and some of us feel that words are powerful. You know what I mean? And our words is like casting a spell.
Yes.
And
I agree.
So it is some. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just agreeing with you. Continue.
Okay, so I broke down the word reality. And so, so what's the word that I noticed in that word? It's real. So what does real mean, and what does ity mean? And so breaking down words sometimes could get us to understand things a lot better. Because sometimes one word is two words. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of crazy because words are powerful, and there's two words as one, And so, yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're all, some of the Mandela affected people are living in a similar reality as far as being affected, and it's good that we're all connected like this.
I think that, the blessing with that is, I know that your walk started as a child, just from what I've heard from your own testimony on your platform, that with feeling so isolated, and that it was a lonely walk, because the people that are being raised up, there's no rhyme or reason to who it is, what religion, what culture, what country, that has nothing to do with who is seeing what they're seeing. That what you're being shown, the changes, and what it has done is it's made a very lonely walk, journey, that if you were to tell people the things that you were experiencing, perceiving, whether it be out of body experiencing or having dreams and then walking through them, or whatever is going on within your journey, most people from old paradigm thinking would say you're crazy. But by this huge influx coming in and people stepping out with their voice and talking about things that would be normally considered taboo, it has brought great comfort and peace to so many people that are going through similar things, that felt like they had no place to even feel comfortable with what is going on within them, and let alone talk to anybody about it. So that's what I like about the Mandela effect. It brought out a community of people.
And I would like to throw in my 2 cents for whatever that's worth.
Sure.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You were talking about the word and breaking it down, the word reality, and it being 2 words combined into one. You got me thinking, well, what would be the antonym of reality? And I came to the conclusion most likely would be fantasy. So what is, and then I've got to thinking, well, what is, is that 2 words combined? And if so, Fanta would be is it Fant or Fanta as the root word of fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That also comes into play with fantastic. So, and then the first thing I think of is like phantom, but I'm not really sure. So I'm actually looking it up now. Fant name meaning old French. Let's see here. Oh, it's just a name. So I guess I'm going to have to do more research on that, but I think we might be on to something. That's what I'm trying to get at. I didn't mean to leave it hanging halfway as a half of a thought, but that's as far as I could get.
That's for you. Leave it hanging. And this is Meta's first call.
That's what my information. Excuse me?
I was giving Sagi a hard time.
Okay. Okay. I know you have another call, so I want to hold you. But that's what
I don't. You're fine.
My channel is about. I'm just trying to figure.
There's nobody. Hello? There's nobody on hold, Meta. Just follow through with. Yeah, you're good. I would let you know.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize for that.
No. Oh, no, you didn't cut me off. It's good to know, because that's why I speak what I speak, because I'm trying to understand things myself. And it's good that it sparks something in somebody else, something positive. And I feel that, when we get more knowledge, I guess it's cliche, knowledge is power, But let me ask you, Sagi, since you were looking up that word, what does human mean? What does human mean?
Huge man. I didn't look it up. I just know, because we're going from that to mankind.
Okay. So, what I feel human is 2 words as well.
Mm-hmm.
What is the word in human that you're familiar with? I'll just ask that.
Hue is less than, and man is,
less
mankind or people.
Right. Right. Now, so you said hue, HU it means less than.
Hmm. But I'm looking at it as two words, H-U-E, hewed down.
Okay. Okay. So, so a lot of people have told me that, okay, hue is color, and I think that's what you're doing too. You're saying H-U-E, but, and also in the chat, Olivia says hue is color. But what I'm saying is, the words actually, how they look, how they, the words that are there, hue and a man.
And, the English language, I have to say, is very confusing because words can be associated with a color or a thing or a different meaning altogether. What, like, let's say there, for instance, am I talking about a group of people? Am I talking about go there? This is a place you need to meet. And you know what I'm saying? So there's so many words that have multiple meanings, but it's in discernment. We use our discernment and we move along.
Right, right. And so, but okay, yeah. And in my research for human, I separated the words, so I'm familiar with man, and then so I researched the word HU, and I came across it means God.
Really?
Yep.
I
And
like
doesn't it make sense that we are a part of God? Doesn't that make sense? Like,
Well, yeah, I don't see anything outside of God. As I walk through my daily life, I don't see
right.
anything outside of God.
Yeah, I actually just looked it up. If you guys can hear me okay, I'll read you the actual definition.
Yes.
And Sufism, Hu, or Hua, is the pronoun used with Allah or God. It is used as the name of God. Allahu means God, just He. In Arabic, Allah means God, and with Hu as an intensive added to Allah means God Himself. Who is also found in the version of the Islamic credo I cannot pronounce, and Wa meaning there is no God but He. That's the official definition.
And you just taught me something, Meta. Thank you.
I believe that. Okay, instead of saying, I'll just say it like this. What about tapping into the powers that be within us? There you are, right there. Tap into the powers that be within us. Because a lot of people, from what I said this on a recent live, that it just seems that some people are giving their power away to a they or an AI, or they are doing this, the AI is doing that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I sit back and I'm just like, what about your own spiritual powers? And some people may not even realize that they have that power to begin with. And so if they're a content creator and they're putting that information out there, it could be, kind of confusing to some people, at least to me, if I didn't know that already, that I have power within me. If that makes sense.
Yes. Yes, you came through 5x5.
Yeah.
And that is part of why it is so important. He hung up, or did he get disconnected? I'm going to mute that up. And let me change this back over until if another call comes in, so you're not coming through my speakers. One moment, please.
Oh, did we lose them?
Yeah, it disconnected on him for some reason. I don't.
Huh.
But that was
Propagate the light.
Well, I know that was a very enlightening, and because that brings to what we're talking and why it is important that with everything that people are going through, with this growth, these experiences, this testimony, and the validity of each person's unique experience, like whatever is in me that is the untruths to come out are going to be different in somebody else, but it doesn't negate their very divine rights as a child of the Most High. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, he's got me on a kick. So I wanted to look up the word propagate. I didn't know what it meant. Do you know what it means?
Propagate,
Yeah.
like perpetuate. Go ahead and look it up, Sagi.
Oh, no,
I'm
I already
gonna go ahead
did.
and shut down the phones because it is 10 o'clock. We had some awesome callers tonight, but we'll go for a few more minutes. And Sagi, go ahead and do that while I do this.
Okay. Well, I already looked it up. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There's two meanings. It's considered a verb. One meaning is to breed specimens of a plant or an animal by natural processes from the parent stock. But I don't think that's the one he's referring to. I think in his name, propagate this light, he's referring to this definition: spread and promote an idea or theory widely. So he's wanting to spread or promote this light, and I think that's a wonderful name. That's really it's really insightful. I really like that.
I agree. I think we've had some amazing calls tonight, and again, that just goes to how important, and with the Mandela effect, it's showing that it's different cultures, countries, religion. None of that seems to matter on who is raising up with their awareness and understanding that that we have. I'm getting real bad feedback from you, Sag.
I'm going to mute up then while you talk.
I lost my train of thought. On how with the ME effect, that it brought so many people out and started to share and not be so ashamed of the things that they're actually going through, thinking that, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm crazy. I mean, that's something I went through. Like, if I told people this, besides my husband, I shared everything with him, and he watched the process. And of course, about that my children did at a young age as this started to transpire. But outside of that, it wasn't, I didn't talk about it to anybody because, I questioned my own sanity. I'm like, how can people, walk around with all this going on inside them? Maybe I am losing it, but by this huge wave coming through, and all these people popping up and talking about it, it has made it a comfort realm where we are able to share and talk about these things in a safe and loving manner. And for those who want to know who they truly are, and not, like as Meta was saying, give your power away to that box in your room that is constantly feeding you propaganda in order for you to perpetuate a realm of their choosing. You will take your sovereignty back, and from your heart, you will manifest it out and around you, and it will be and like I can't say this enough. The new heart that you get is such a love for everybody that there's no hierarchy. You see the equality, and you don't want to trample on anybody's sovereignty, freedom, their experiences. You just you'll be there when they ask, but otherwise, I don't want anybody to overshadow my sovereignty and my freedom and my rights to be. So I don't want to do that to another. So I hope that makes sense. It's a love that we have for each other that is beyond comprehension. It's something that I would have never thought as a child when this all was programmed out of me, to be that we're in competition with each other. Dog eat dog. He who makes the most money and the educated and all of that to me now is garbage, because I see everybody, no matter what, as these amazing, divine. He called it a bubble. You know what we were talking about with the electronic field, the toroidal field that surrounds you with your frequency and your vibration that does cross over into other people that you interact with. That you can actually make somebody's day just by walking past them. Because if you're walking in unconditional love and peace, and they're having a bad time, they will feel some peace, even if it's just for a moment, as you just walk by them with your bubble or your toroidal field that surrounds you with the electronic signals firing off from not just your mind, but from your heart and from your being, from your soul, from everything that is within you. Any final thoughts there, Sag?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much covered it. I enjoyed being on here with you tonight. I feel like I was enlightened with some new knowledge, and I really enjoyed our callers, especially the last one. I think that we've had a great show. I think thank you for having me on. Thank you for everybody who called in, and thank you for everybody who's listening and in chat. I've really enjoyed being here with you.
You want to give them a channel shout out?
Sure, I can do that. Give me 1 second to bring it up.
Okay.
All right, let's look here. I can only go so far back, so if I miss you, I'm sorry. I see. Is it Singeman? Is that how you pronounce it? Synge?
Maybe.
All right. Olivia Luke. I think she was one of our callers.
Mm-hmm.
My Skies 5D.
Ooh,
Dead.
awesome.
Dead GPK.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
Tim O.
Awesome.
And Go Kart Bob was here.
Really?
Yes.
Nice group. Oh my gosh. Exciting. Okay, I'll be quiet. I'll let you go through it.
Michael Fontaine is in the house.
Michael Fontaine?
Yes, Michael Fontaine.
What? Okay, this time for real. I'll be quiet. Go ahead. Or are you done?
Oh, did you lose me? Let me try again. Sometimes when I come off the page, I fall off. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right. Vision in Christ, Plain Flat, and now I'm done.
And dogs can sense that same feeling. Yes, I'm going to tell you, when you look at animals and how they respond to different people, they can sense the toroidal field, the bubble, or the frequency that is coming off of the person, whether they're in confusion still about who they are. They can sense the intentions, whether they're there to be peaceful with you or wanting, to create harm because of their confusion on who they are. Everything, that is done is because lack of understanding of who they are. They don't know. And once they do, that new heart comes in, and it's just it's an amazing transition. Okay. And I want to thank everybody for coming. Again, we're going to do these on every Wednesday. And I still will do guest appearances, of course. Hebrew from Eternia is to be on sometime this week. So make sure you hit that bell for notifications so you can see when that is coming up. And I may be paying a visit over to Propagate This Light on his platform. So look for that also. And you guys always share what you know so we can all listen and grow. I love you guys. Have a good night.